Early childhood. Some stories start quietly. This one begins with a whisper that would turn into a roar heard across the world. Imagine a boy so small, people doubted he'd ever grow tall enough to stand shoulder to shoulder with his teammates. A boy who dribbled a football not because he wanted fame, but because the ball was the only thing that made sense in a world that seemed too big for him. But here's the twist. The world wasn't too big. It just hadn't yet realized how small he could make it feel, one dazzling run at a time. Long before Lionel Messi became a name that echoed in stadiums from Barcelona to Buenos Aires, before the Ballon d'Or trophies, before the World Cup, there was a child in Rosario, Argentina, chasing a ball across dusty streets. His feet were quick, his eyes sharper than the defenders who tried to stop him. And in that child's heart lived a dream so pure, so unstoppable, that even a diagnosis meant to shatter it became just another opponent to dribble past.
You see, what many don't know is that at the age of just 10, Messi was told he had a growth hormone deficiency. Without treatment, he might never grow tall enough, strong enough to compete at the highest level. For most kids, that would have been the end of the dream. For Lionel, it was the beginning of a battle. Picture this, a small boy, barely taller than the ball he kicked, waking up every single night to inject medicine into his legs. Not for a week, not for a month, but for years, because the game was worth it. In the narrow streets of his neighborhood, they called him La Pulga, the flea, a nickname that started as a joke about his size, but would one day become a symbol of his unstoppable, darting style of play. Here's a hidden gem for you. Messi scored his very first goal for a team at just 5 years old, and it wasn't even with his dominant left foot. Back then, football was not about contracts or crowds. It was about joy. Messi would play until the sun dipped below the rooftops and his mother called him in for dinner. Even then, his mind stayed on the game, replaying every pass, every turn, every missed chance.
But talent alone wasn't enough. Rosario was not an easy place to grow up. His family wasn't wealthy, and the expensive treatment he needed was becoming harder to afford. His father, Jorge, worked at a steel factory. His mother, Selena, took odd jobs to keep the family afloat. And all the while, they watched their youngest son carve poetry into the dusty ground with a football. One evening, as the sun burned low over the horizon, his father made a decision. If Lionel's dream was to survive, they would need help. That help would come from a place far away, a city across the ocean. What happened next would take this little boy from the streets of Rosario to the gates of one of the most legendary football academies in the world. But it would also mean leaving behind everything he knew, everyone he loved, at an age when most children are still learning their multiplication tables. The move to Barcelona and early rise. The letter came like a lifeline. It wasn't from a doctor. It wasn't from a local club. It was from halfway across the world, from FC Barcelona. They had seen a grainy video of a small boy in Argentina weaving past boys twice his size. They didn't see weakness. They saw magic. And they wanted him. But there was a catch. Messi's family could not afford the cost of living in Spain, let alone the medical treatments. Barcelona's offer was unusual. They would pay for his growth hormone therapy, but only if he moved to Spain and joined their youth academy. For most parents, the idea of sending their 13-year-old thousands of miles away would be unthinkable. For the Messis, it was the only way forward. And so, one cool September morning in 2000, Lionel and his father boarded a plane. The flight to Spain was quiet. Messi stared out the window, watching the clouds drift past. He was leaving behind his mother, his brothers, his friends, his street games, the comfort of home. But in his small hands, he carried a bigger dream than most adults dared to imagine. When they landed in Barcelona, everything felt different. The air, the language, the food, even the football. The pace was faster, the players bigger, the expectations sky high. And yet, on the very first day at La Masia, Barcelona's fabled youth academy, Messi stunned everyone. In a practice match, he danced past defenders like they were standing still. A coach whispered to another, "This kid, he's different." But being different wasn't easy. Messi was shy, almost painfully so. He spoke little, choosing instead to communicate with the ball. While other boys went out together after training, Messi would stay in his room, watching cartoons or calling his family back in Rosario. His homesickness was a shadow that followed him everywhere. There's another hidden gem. The first contract Messi ever signed with Barcelona wasn't on official paper. It was scribbled on a napkin at a cafe because the club didn't want to risk losing him to another team before the paperwork was ready. In matches, though, the shy boy vanished. The ball stuck to his foot as if pulled by invisible strings. He didn't run like the others. He glided, changing directions so quickly that defenders stumbled over their own feet. It wasn't long before word spread. The boy from Rosario was something special. Soon, he was training with players much older than him, players who couldn't understand how someone so young could read the game like a veteran. But then came the setback. A hamstring injury kept him out for weeks. For a young player fighting for his place, time away from the pitch was dangerous. Would the coaches still believe in him? Would the dream fade before it even began? When Messi returned, he played like a man possessed. Every touch, every run, every goal was a statement. I belong here. And in November 2003, just 16 years old, he stepped onto the pitch for Barcelona's first team in a friendly against Porto. The crowd didn't yet know it, but they were witnessing the birth of a legend. That moment was just a whisper of what was to come, because the boy who left Argentina with a suitcase and a dream was about to face the world, and the world would never be the same again. Prime years, records, and heartbreaks. The transition from a promising teenager to a footballing phenomenon didn't happen overnight, but once it began, there was no stopping it. By the 2004-2005 season, Messi wasn't just training with Barcelona's first team. He was playing and scoring. His first official goal came against Albacete in May 2005, a delicate chip over the goalkeeper after a perfectly timed pass from Ronaldinho. The crowd erupted. Ronaldinho, the magician himself, lifted the teenager onto his shoulders. The message was clear. This was the heir to the throne. Barcelona fans didn't yet know they were about to witness an era unlike any in football history. Over the next few years, Messi grew, not just physically, but in confidence and skill. Under the guidance of Frank Rijkaard and later Pep Guardiola, he transformed from a raw talent into a relentless weapon. Defenders tried to double mark him.
They kicked at his legs, pulled his shirt, even tried to intimidate him with hard tackles. But Messi would get up, dust himself off, and run at them again. There's a hidden gem for you. Messi once played an entire match with a broken nose, after a collision, scoring twice without missing a beat. The arrival of Pep Guardiola in 2008 marked the beginning of a golden chapter. Pep saw Messi not just as a winger, but as the beating heart of the team. He placed him in the false nine role, giving him freedom to roam, drop deep, and dictate play. The results were devastating. In the 2008-2009 season, Barcelona achieved something historic: the treble, La Liga, Copa del Rey, and Champions League. In the final against Manchester United, Messi, just 5'7", rose above Rio Ferdinand and headed the ball into the net. It was the goal that sealed the title. The sight of the small Argentine floating in the air became an icon. But football is never just about glory. For every victory, there were defeats that cut deep. Injury setbacks tested his resolve. International heartbreak with Argentina, especially the 2007 and 2015 Copa America finals, and the 2014 World Cup loss to Germany, weighed heavily. Messi would later admit that those losses hurt more than any club defeat. Still, his hunger never faded. Year after year, he shattered records. Fastest to 100 goals for Barcelona. Most goals in a calendar year, 91 in 2012. Multiple Ballon d'Ors, league titles, Champions League triumphs. Each record was another reminder we were living in the age of Messi. And yet, with every success, the world waited for the inevitable, the day he would slow down. But that day never seemed to come. One night in 2011 against Real Madrid, Messi took the ball at midfield, glided past 4 defenders, and slotted it into the net as if the laws of physics didn't apply to him. Even Jose Mourinho, the opposing coach, could only shake his head in disbelief. By now, Messi wasn't just a player. He was a myth, a living story told in every corner of the globe. Children in every continent wore his number 10 shirt, dreaming of moving like him, scoring like him, becoming like him. But myths still have moments of doubt. And Messi's came in the form of a question no one expected him to ask himself. Could I keep doing this forever? The answer would take him down paths no one saw coming, some filled with light, others with shadows. And one of those shadows was wearing the blue and white of Argentina. International struggles and triumphs. For all his glory at Barcelona, there was one place where Lionel Messi's light seemed dimmer. One stage where the weight of expectation was crushing: the national team. In Argentina, football isn't just a sport. It's identity. It's religion. And with Messi, the comparisons were unavoidable. Every headline, every pundit, every fan brought up one name: Diego Maradona. The hero of 1986, the man who carried Argentina to World Cup glory. Messi wasn't just expected to play, he was expected to be the next Maradona. Anything less was failure. He had moments of brilliance in the sky blue and white, goals, assists, dazzling dribbles, but they were too often followed by heartbreak. In the 2007 Copa America final, Argentina lost 3-0 to Brazil. In the 2010 World Cup, they were crushed 4-0 by Germany. Then came the most painful stretch: 3 consecutive finals. The 2014 World Cup in Brazil,
the 2015 Copa America in Chile, the 2016 Copa America Centenario in the USA.
Each time, Argentina came agonizingly close. Each time, they fell short. In 2014, Mario Götze's extra-time goal broke millions of Argentine hearts, and Messi's most of all. He walked past the World Cup trophy as if it were a ghost haunting him. In 2015 and 2016, it was worse. Both Copa finals ended in penalty shootouts. Both times, Argentina lost. In 2016, Messi himself missed his penalty, a rare moment where the magician's touch failed him. That night, tears streamed down his face. In the locker room, surrounded by silence, he made a shocking decision. He would retire from international football. When the news broke, Argentina froze. Fans cried. Politicians begged him to reconsider. Even the president of Argentina asked him to come back. And here's a hidden gem. The streets of Buenos Aires filled with people chanting, "Don't leave Leo," in spontaneous rallies. It worked. A few months later, Messi returned, saying, "I love my country too much, and this shirt means too much." His comeback set the stage for redemption. The 2021 Copa America in Brazil was his chance. Argentina battled through the tournament, and in the final, against none other than Brazil in the Maracanã, they won 1-0. Messi didn't score that night, but he didn't need to. The sight of him on the ground, smiling through tears as his teammates lifted him, was enough to tell the world the curse was broken. The victory unleashed something in Messi. The pressure lifted. The love between him and Argentina, once strained, now burned stronger than ever. And it was this bond that would carry them to the grandest stage of all, the 2022 World Cup in Qatar. But if you think the road there was smooth, think again.
Messi responded with quiet fury. 1 goal against Mexico, 1 against Australia, 1 against the Netherlands in a tense penalty shootout. Then, in the final, a masterpiece. Argentina and France traded blows in one of the greatest World Cup matches of all time. Messi scored, Mbappé scored, extra time, more goals. Then, penalties. When Gonzalo Montiel buried the winning kick, Messi collapsed to his knees, surrounded by his teammates. He had done it. The World Cup, the one trophy that had eluded him. From that moment on, there was no debate, no doubt. Messi wasn't just the best of his generation. He was among the greatest to ever play the game. Later career, PSG, and the next chapter. For more than 2 decades, Lionel Messi and Barcelona were inseparable. The boy who had arrived at La Masia at 13 had become the face of the club. Every goal, every trophy, every record was intertwined with the Blaugrana shirt. But in 2021, the unthinkable happened. Barcelona, drowning in financial trouble, announced they could not renew his contract, even though Messi had agreed to a pay cut. The numbers simply didn't add up under La Liga's financial rules. The press conference that followed was unlike anything football had seen. Messi, usually calm and composed, stood in front of the cameras, tears streaming down his face. He could barely speak. The words, "I did everything to stay," hung in the air like a farewell no one wanted to hear. Then came the next shock.
Messi would join Paris Saint-Germain. The image of him holding up a PSG jersey felt surreal. The streets of Paris overflowed with fans chanting his name, waving Argentina flags alongside the Eiffel Tower. At PSG, Messi reunited with Neymar and joined forces with Kylian Mbappe, forming an attacking trio that looked unstoppable on paper. But football is never just about names. Adjusting to a new city, a new league, and a new style of play took time. Messi's first season in Paris was quieter than expected. The goals were fewer. The critics were louder.
Still, there were flashes of the old magic. Inch-perfect passes, curling free kicks, moments where the game seemed to bend to his will. By his second season, the rhythm returned. He lifted Ligue 1 titles, reached milestones, and continued to add to his record-breaking tally of assists. Here's a hidden gem. In his very first PSG match at the Parc des Princes, Messi's shirt sales generated over $100 million worldwide in just a week. But even as he conquered new ground in France, something kept pulling at his heart. The bond with his home country, the hunger to keep writing history. The 2022 World Cup with Argentina delivered that final piece of the puzzle. And once it was complete, Messi's career entered a new phase, one not defined by proving himself, but by enjoying the game he had given his life to. In 2023, another unexpected twist arrived. Messi chose to join Inter Miami in Major League Soccer. Some saw it as the end of the road. Others saw it as the beginning of a new mission, to grow the sport in the United States. When he landed in Miami, the scenes were electric. A stadium full of pink shirts, Latin music thundering, fans from across the Americas chanting his name. And Messi wasted no time. Debut game, last-minute free kick, goal. A script even Hollywood wouldn't dare to write. He brought a wave of attention to MLS unlike anything before. Ticket prices skyrocketed. Celebrities packed the stands. Kids across the U.S. started wearing Argentina jerseys, not just Messi's Miami kit.
Yet through it all, Messi remained the same. Humble, grounded, quick to credit his teammates. He still arrived early to training, still stayed late to sign autographs, still smiled shyly when fans called him the GOAT. And that's the thing about Messi. For all the records, for all the trophies, for all the moments burned into football history, he is still that boy from Rosario, chasing a ball because it makes him happy. Now, as he edges into the final chapters of his playing career, questions linger. Will he return to Barcelona one last time? Will he end his career in Argentina? Or will he keep building football's future in America? Whatever happens, one thing is certain. Messi's story isn't done. And if history has taught us anything, it's that when Lionel Messi writes the ending, it's never just a goodbye. It's a moment the world will remember. Outro and future vision. Some legends are remembered for moments. A single goal, a single game, a single trophy. But Lionel Messi's greatness is not a moment. It is a lifetime stitched together by thousands of them. From the dusty streets of Rosario to the bright lights of Barcelona. From lonely nights in a small dorm room at La Masia to roaring crowds in Champions League finals. From heartbreak in Copa America finals to lifting the World Cup as his teammates danced around him. Messi's career is not a straight line of glory. It is a mountain range. Peaks so high they seem untouchable, valleys so deep they almost broke him. And yet, in every valley, he found a way to climb again. That is his true genius.
Not just the way he dribbles past defenders, but the way he dribbles past life's obstacles. Not just the goals, but the persistence behind them. Here's a final hidden gem. Even after winning everything there is to win, Messi still says his happiest moments are when he plays football with his kids in the backyard. And maybe that's the secret. For Messi, football has never been about fame or money or proving people wrong. It has been about love. Love for the ball. Love for the game. Love for the feeling you get when you make someone else believe in magic. Now, as the sun begins to set on his playing days, the question is not whether Messi will be remembered, it's how his story will inspire the next generation. Somewhere right now, a little boy or girl is kicking a ball in a street, barefoot, chasing it until the sky turns orange. And maybe, just maybe, that child will one day stand on the same stage wearing the number 10, carrying the same dream. Messi's journey tells us something we all need to hear. You don't have to be the biggest to be the best. You don't have to shout to be heard. You don't have to be born into privilege to touch the stars. All you need is the courage to keep playing, even when it's hard, especially when it's hard. Because greatness isn't a gift. It's a choice you make every single day, to show up, to work, to believe. And if Lionel Messi's story proves anything, it's this. The world will always make room for someone who refuses to stop chasing the ball. So if you've been with us on this journey, from the streets of Rosario to the World Cup podium, take a moment to carry that inspiration into your own life. Chase your dream, play your game, write your story. And if this journey moved you, share it. Like, comment, subscribe, not just to hear more stories like this, but to be part of a community that believes in them. Because somewhere, right now, another story is beginning. And maybe, just maybe, that child will one day stand on the same stage wearing the number 10, carrying the same dream.